Hello everyone and welcome back to Anything But Mid. I'm your host Ian Sachs, and while it's been a while, the best part of the season is right around the corner. Final stretch of the conference slate, and then we'll turn the calendars to March, and that means conference tournaments and the NCAA tournament not that long from now. We are within a month of when we will officially have brackets, but still so much basketball to be played before we get to that. And let's take a look at some of the top races that we've seen so far this season and what will shape up to be a great stretch run for these conferences, starting in the Mountain West. And, it looks like we might very well see a 6-bid Mountain West Conference in this year's NCAA tournament. The conference having 6 teams in the top 50 in the net, Torvik, and Ken Pom. And, those 6 all bunched up right around the top of the standings, with Utah State coming in at 10-4. They're in first place, followed by Boise State at 9-4, San Diego State 9-5, Colorado State and New Mexico tied at 8-5, and Nevada right behind them at 7-5. And Utah State picking up a big win on Tuesday night, knocking off San Diego State in a close one at home. The Aggies led by 10 midway through the second half. San Diego State cut it to 1, but ultimately it was Danny Sprinkle's squad coming away with the victory. And what a job he has done in his first season leading the program. Just an incredible job to be in first place at this point in the tough, stacked Mountain West. We talk about them, seems like just about every episode. We're always talking about the great games, great contests, great matchups in the Mountain West. And, the final stretch run will prove to be no different for the best mid-major conference in this season. Turning to the WCC, and St. Mary's firmly in control of that race with a 2-game lead over Gonzaga, 2.5 over San Francisco after their win against the Dons on Tuesday night. And what about the turnaround that the Gales have gone through this season? They came in with lofty expectations, then started 3-5 out of the gate, took some pretty bad losses in the non-con. What have they done since then? Winners of 19 of their last 20 games, one of the hottest teams in the country, back into the AP top 25, and they have just been sensational this season. Currently at 13-0 in the WCC, and they are looking to become the first non-Gonzaga team to go undefeated in WCC play since Pepperdine did it way back in the 1991-92 season. Randy Bennett's squad has it cooking there. They're ranked 3rd in Torvik since January 10th, 14 straight wins for the Gales. The American has been one of the most interesting races that we've seen so far this season. Florida Atlantic and Memphis picked as the 2 preseason favorites. Florida Atlantic coming off of that Final Four run from a season ago. They were picked first in the preseason poll. Memphis, with so much experience that they had for this year, picked second. But you wouldn't know that from the conference standings. South Florida, first in the league at 12-1. Charlotte, 11-2. FAU and SMU, both 13-3. UAB right behind them at 9-3. And Memphis in a 3-way tie for 6th place. But how about all this based off the preseason rankings? USF was picked 9th out of 14 teams. Charlotte picked second to last, 13 out of the 14 teams. As I mentioned, FAU was the preseason favorite. SMU came in 7th in the preseason ranking. UAB 4th, so they're right in the mix of where they should be. Memphis sitting at 7-6. They were picked second, as I mentioned, in the preseason poll. And we'll start with Penny Hardaway's Tigers. They've lost 6 of their last 9 games in a tailspin since being ranked number 10 in the AP Top 25 just over a month ago. But how about the job that SMU has done? They're ranked 9th. They're the 9th ranked mid-major in Torvik since January 10th. And South Florida, who's in first place at 12-1, 11 straight wins entering Wednesday night. On the women's side, a gigantic game coming up this weekend in the Ivy League. Princeton visiting Columbia, the matchup of the top 2 teams in the conference standings. Princeton ranked number 25 in the AP Top 25 this week. They've won 15 straight games. Columbia, meanwhile, winners of 6 straight. They sit at 9-1 in the conference, with the lone loss there coming at Princeton, 80-65 back on January 20th. Now, outside of that contest, Columbia has won 16 of its last 17 games, that one loss being the game at Princeton. So both of these teams red hot when you think about it. Taking out that one matchup where someone had to win and someone had to lose, they've won a combined 30 straight games, not counting that game when they squared off back on January 20th. So these two teams red hot. In that first matchup, Madison St. Rose and Sky Belker, each with 21 points for the Tigers. Abby Shue had 21 for the Lions. So it is going to be a high-level game in Manhattan when Columbia hosts Princeton on Saturday. Now, these are two teams that had success in March last season. Princeton went to the second round of the NCAA tournament. They were a 10 seed, knocked off the 7, and then fell to second-seeded Utah in the second round. Columbia, meanwhile, they just went to the WNIT final, ultimately falling at Kansas in that one, but still, nonetheless, to go all the way to the championship game. An impressive run for the Lions there, and it is going to shape up to be a great game when Princeton visits Columbia on Saturday. Wanted to give a quick shout out to the Fairfield women's basketball team. They're 14-0 in MAC play, sitting at 22-1 on the season, sitting just outside the top 25 at number 27 in this week's AP poll. And how about the job that they've done? 20 straight wins, the lone loss on the season coming way back in November by 3 points at Vanderbilt, 73-70, the final in that one. They've won all but 2 games in the conference by double figures, and they're outscoring MAC opponents by more than 18 points per game. Fairfield's one of 7 mid-major teams that's undefeated in conference play. You have the Stags, as well as Chattanooga, Jackson State, South Dakota State, Gonzaga, Florida Gulf Coast, and Middle Tennessee. So really props to all of those teams. Quite an accomplishment should they be able to complete an undefeated conference slate and enter the conference tournament unblemished against conference foes. But a quick shout out to Fairfield and the rest of those teams sitting undefeated in conference play. Well, that's another edition of Anything But Mid. I'm your host, Ian Sachs from Mid-Major Madness. Conference tournaments not too far away. The stretch run, though, going to be epic throughout men's and women's college basketball. Looking forward to it. Can't wait to talk to you next time.